Does it mean that I'm closer to buying an Alexa Mini if I have one in my cart?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It's just
in
in
the
the
cart.
You guys
cart.
already have an Alexa. I saw it.
Yeah, you did.
Mm-hmm.
You got really excited.
Mm-hmm. I was like, bro, are you kidding me? Don't flash that box at me and not show me.
Cinematography Podcast with Sam and Mitch. Or Dad.
Welcome to the Cinematography Podcast by Inland Film Co. I'm Mitch Williams, joined by Sam McGhee. This is episode 6, where we sit down with a special guest, fellow filmmaker and DP Cam Hotchkiss. In this installment, we chat with Cameron about his life as a filmmaker, his love for the outdoors, his Red Camera, a documentary Cameron was cinematographer on that's on tour right now, and a situation where he quite literally almost died while filming it. That led into a conversation about Sam's near-death experience last winter and the story of how he broke his leg. Enjoy.
You're not into extreme things, are you?
Almost fell into a crevasse, but not into extreme. Well, I did, but thankfully I'm chubby and had a big backpack on, so I just kind of got stuck. So, yeah, I'm all about extreme things.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a guest on the show on the podcast a second week in a row. This is pretty freaking cool. Last week we had Kevin Graham, composer and director of photography. This week we have cinematographer / man of many talents, Cameron Hotchkiss.
Yeah, thanks for having me out, guys. This is awesome.
Cameron just suggested to us that he enjoys the outdoors, some extreme sports. So, Cameron, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and who is Cameron Hotchkiss?
I definitely say that. Definitely, obviously passionate about the outdoors. I love jeeping, mountain biking, pretty much anything that kind of gets the adrenaline kind of going. Just really enjoy it. I think what kind of draws me to those sports is not only, being outside and that sort of thing is great, but I also kind of think the camaraderie that kind of comes from that. I've probably had some of my best days, whether it's hiking, whether it's, rock climbing with good friends, whether you hit a new scary mountain bike jump that you've been eyeing up for a while and your buddies are all there. I think that's probably, I think that's kind of what kind of keeps me coming back to being outside and that sort of thing. So.
There's no secret that we know each other. This isn't our first time hanging out and chatting. I know you've spent some time not just going out and doing those kind of activities, but also filming them. Can you?
Yeah. So I've worked a lot with a producer out of Coeur d'Alene, Jordan Halland, and we've shot a lot of really fun short films. One was our first film that we shot together, was called StrongWater. And StrongWater, if you guys aren't familiar with river surfing, you can river surf in Missoula, Montana. So we shot a short film on StrongWater, the surf shop based out of Missoula, and kind of how, by them kind of helping the rivers, by cleaning up rivers and creating waves within the river, you're able to have kind of that outdoor community, really be able to enjoy, the outdoors. And also you can surf in downtown Missoula. So it's kind of all about, how these guys, KB and Luke, the owners at StrongWater, are kind of like pioneering the sport of river surfing. So it's kind of funny. You can go to, downtown Missoula and see like surfer dudes walking down the street. It's like the weirdest thing in the world. It's like I just saw a bleach blonde haired dude with a wetsuit and a surfboard walking down downtown Missoula. It's the most hilarious thing in the world. And yeah, you can literally, like KB, every time he wakes up in the morning, he hops on his one wheel, has his surfboard under his arm, and he can surf one wave for like an hour and just keep going back and forth on that wave. So it was a super fun film. Yeah, so one of many super fun films to shoot.
That's freaking awesome.
Now I know what I need to do in Missoula next time we're there.
Totally.
It's a blast.
Did you get out and surf?
No, I was just camera guy for it, but I need to make a trip back out and surf. So I'd say it's very similar to like wake surfing behind a boat.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like the weirdest thing, like walking across the Missoula Bridge and looking off to your left and people just like surfing on a wave. So it's seriously too cool. So
that this isn't on the docket, but that right there reminds me just how freaking awesome this part of the country is. This part of the world. How many having you in here, knowing how many outdoor activities you're able to enjoy yourself, and we enjoy going out fly fishing and hiking and skiing and whatnot, but expanding just within 3 hours to Missoula, the fact that there's a couple of guys that
surf culture,
the surf culture in very inland United States. I mean, that's freaking awesome.
No, it's awesome. Seriously cool. So
I'm really interested. Okay, so I'm interested in what you do, because I think the first thing that really made me want to get into filmmaking of any kind was watching Teton Gravity Research ski films.
Oh yeah.
As the only one I'll reference, because I like all ski films. There's so many different people who make them. The Art of Flight from Red Bull was the first snowboard film that really got me going. Yep. But it was always Teton that made me want to make films, and they had the red one, and I knew I started paying attention to cinema cameras because they said they shot on the red one, and I knew red was the camera, red was the thing. But I had my Rebel T2i, and I took it up to Silver Mountain over in Kellogg, Idaho. I took it up with my buddies. We don't do anything. Literally, we like slalom ski down the main blue squares, and that's it. There's nothing we do. But I'd take my camera up, and we would record things. I never did anything with them, and I still, to this day, like dream about being able to go heli ski in Alaska and make a film about it. I'm excited about being able to have you here today, because that's my first love.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And yeah, like you said, like Teton Gravity Research, like those guys absolutely kill it. Like Matchstick Productions, those guys were obviously a huge inspiration to me. I don't know if you guys, going, like when I was a young kid, going to Warren Miller films and just seeing like all the crazy, stuff that comes out, from those guys. So yeah, the outdoors, and those guys, specifically are really inspiring for sure. So
how do you? Okay, here's my first question. My mind, making a film like, let's just stick with the StrongWater. How much filming went into that?
So man, I have to think a little. So Jordan and I, we went up. We did kind of our first trip to Missoula. I think we did like a 4-day shoot, and it was also just kind of getting to know the guys, go like watch them surf, get the rundown on their shop, KB, custom shapes boards that are specific for river surfing. Like it's crazy. Like he's got his own shop where he can shape boards and everything.
Wow.
And from there we were able to shoot some surfing, and then after that we were actually able to come back and surf another wave out of Lolo, Montana. So we were able to kind of sequence between the wave in downtown Missoula to show that like, hey, like, we're trying to showcase that like we're literally surfing like 2 minutes away from a city street, and then we're also out in the beautiful wilderness being able to surf just a beautiful wave where kayakers are going through and these guys are surfing on a wave next to them. So I don't know if I really answered your question, but yeah, like as far as like overall shoot time, I'd say we had roughly, I'd say like 8 days of filming for that film.
How long was the final film?
The final film was a short. It was like right around like 8 to 10 minutes. Yeah. So
what cameras were you guys using?
For that film, we were using MyRed. So we used MyRed, as well as Jordan had a Canon 1DX Mark II. So
nice.
we used both those cameras. But for the majority of like of the landscape shots and actual surf shots, we shot on MyRed. So it was great. It was kind of like my first kind of like project with the Red. I'd actually like just gotten it, just got back from like Reducation out of Miami, and it was like, okay, like it's time to like put this thing to work. So definitely learned a lot from the film. Definitely learned what the Red does and doesn't like. And yeah, it was seriously a ton of fun. So, I think another thing that, like, I'm not a mountain surfer guy. I don't surf or anything like that, but I think something that's really kind of inspiring about, outdoor recreation and really anything in general is when you see somebody light up about what they're passionate about. I really think that's, somebody can have the worst day ever, or I can have the worst day ever and, go ride my mountain bike. And then it's like, oh, life's not that bad, type of thing. So I think that's kind of for me, like why I'm so passionate about, the outdoors and that sort of thing is, people are usually really inspired by it. And when you can showcase that through film, it's pretty cool.
Dude.
So
that is awesome.
Yeah.
So who is it the producer?
Yeah, so Jordan, I was basically hired for the DP for it. So Jordan was kind of the concept and, editor and everything for it. And he helped distribute it. So it got into a couple film festivals, which is awesome. Got into Telluride and a couple other small festivals I can't think of off the top of my head. But that was kind of like my first kind of like I'd made like little mountain bike films with my buddies, but that was kind of like my first step into actual I guess you could say filmmaking. So yeah, it was a ton of fun. So
right on.
That is very cool. I sit here and listen to 8 days of filming. You think? Yeah. I think about how many daily reels we could make with all that footage that never saw the light of day.
Yeah,
you just did the calculating. 8 days of filming equals how many hundred?
Yeah.
Just all of the terabytes, especially shooting on Red.
So were you shooting full 8K on all that stuff?
No. Honestly, a lot of it we were actually shooting really high frame rate stuff for it. That way we could, get the, them arcing on the wave and that sort of thing. So a lot of it was shot in like 4K to 5K. So,
and do you get out in the water with that thing, or do you just stay with long lenses?
Yeah, for the most part we were long lenses. Like I did get up close because the wave is literally like right there. Like you can go down to the bank and there's a surfer like 6 feet away from you on the wave, so you can get right up close. Like I'd put my 16 to 35 on, and you can get up close and get those really cool water droplet details of them making turns off the wave, and like they can legitimately get barreled on the wave. Like they can cut off the wave and come back and the wave will crash over the top of them. Like it's pretty cool. It's
really?
Unreal.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, for the most part, we didn't have a drone at the time or anything for this film. So yeah, a lot of it was shot from a riverbank, or I was able to long lens from the Missoula Bridge and get them surfing a ways off. So
So you didn't have a drone?
I didn't.
How did you manage that? How did you do that?
I don't know, man. We just threw it up in the air and caught it really quick. 120 frames.
Oh my gosh! I just think about that thing taking a tumble.
There's a new
watching that in 120.
Oh gosh! One of the 360-degree camera companies made a little torpedo so you could throw it.
What?
And the reason that's interesting is they were showing skateboarding. Some guy would go up on the half pipe and they would throw this 360-degree camera and it would torpedo like right underneath him. And they show in the software, you can pick where the camera looks. And it looks like you had this camera view that goes right underneath the guy.
That's
and
amazing.
so people are just hucking 360-degree cameras and
Hopefully
figuring
not
out
hitting the
post.
talent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you have something else you wanted to add? Or?
Oh, I just kind of wanted to touch on as well another project that Jordan and I worked on, which is our latest one, is Brighter Night.
And that's the documentary, correct?
Yeah.
That's the next thing I was going to ask you about.
Yeah. So Jordan came to me with this concept of shooting glaciers at night. So I was kind of like, okay. My first like DP brain goes off like low light grain. Oh my goodness, how am I gonna?
How am I gonna bring the red?
Yeah,
I'm not.
Yeah, how am I gonna light this thing? And so Jordan. A little backstory behind Brighter Night. Jordan met this climber, Alan, and if you don't know Alan, he's crazy. He's an Alaskan. Like, how can he not be crazy? And they shot a film like probably 10 years ago called Blue Obsession, and it's all about Alan ice climbing in the Mendenhall Glacier, and all over, I believe. I'm not sure if it was just specifically Mendenhall. But one night when they were headed out, Jordan noticed Alan's headlamp was just lighting up these big, glaciers. Like they're just this gorgeous, like blue, otter pops, I guess you could call it. So Jordan saw that. I think it was the last day on their shoot for Blue Obsession. And then Jordan was like, Alan, we have to make another film, filming at night. So fast forward 10 years, Jordan and Alan have been talking quite a bit, and it ended up, this last winter ended up being the perfect year to film it, because the one thing that you have an issue with filming glaciers is you don't want snow on top of the glacier, because then obviously it won't light up at night. Well, Alaska had a very low snow season this last year, so all of the glacier ice was very clear and no snow on it. It's like literally the bluest ice that you could ever think of.
Wow.
So Jordan scrambled. He actually got Canon on board for it. So we shot everything on a C200 with Cine Glass for it. And then we had to figure out lights and everything. So for it, we literally went to his garage and we got these special lights to use from a company, and they're full RGB. Like we could choose any color that we wanted. They're LED lights, super bright. So we did a test in his garage, and it seemed to work out okay. We were able to run like a high enough ISO, but at the end of the day, it's not like we have a glacier to like set our lights up to and like, yep, this works.
Test it out.
So anyways, fast forward like 2 weeks from then, we're in Alaska, and the schedule for it was hectic. Like we shot from 6 p.m. to 7 a.m. Every night. Like dump footage throughout the day, like try and sleep a little bit, and then get bundled up into cold weather gear and go out again. So how it works, to get to the Mendenhall Glacier, you show up to a parking lot, and then we had sleds that we'd put all our gear on, click it to a rock climbing harness, and go across this bay area to the glacier. So,
wow.
And is the bay frozen?
Yeah, everything's frozen on it. So you're walking across the bay and it's just freezing. Like we got big Michelin Man jackets on, and you're just, getting out there. And then finally, once you get out there, it's just like this glacier just like stands up out of the ground. It's just amazing. So that's where we start getting our crampons on. And then Alan found the most beautiful ice like I've ever seen. So so we were able to, a lot of the different shots that we had to get, like Alan had, like we had to like ice screw them onto the ice so we could light up the glacier with different colors. So like one take of like Alan climbing up, one of these, spires or on the glacier was, it's all the, lighting set up and, how to get it all to work together. So
this hurts my brain.
Yeah. Well, how long was the shoot?
The shoot was 7 days.
7 days, and you shot all 7 days?
Yeah.
And so I want to understand. I haven't seen the film.
Mm-hmm.
The last time we spoke, you couldn't show it.
Yeah.
Is it available
Yeah,
yet?
no, it's still on tour right
still
now
on the
with
circuit?
Telluride. So,
Okay.
yeah, I'm not sure when that'll be out.
Is there a trailer?
There's not.
No trailer?
No, nothing.
Oh,
No,
that's
they don't,
sad.
They don't like anybody. If it goes on tour, it can't be on the internet. So,
Okay. Oh man, I can't wait to see this.
Yeah.
This is
So,
gonna
the explain to me, are you up with or near Alan as he's lighting this stuff, or are you back in the bay more so, like shooting wide?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, it kind of depended on where we were at. We were at one part that was really high risk. That was actually where like the glacier basically butts up against a mountain, and we were hiking on the mountainside, but still covered in ice. So you have crampons on and you're all tethered together, you know, wanting to make sure that, well, not for all of it you're tethered together, but for a lot of it you are. And then a lot of times Alan would go up and set an ice screw, and then basically I'd have a pivot point off of that ice screw that I could walk around on. So a lot of it was wide angle, but we also got to establish we wanted to show technical climbing as well. So we actually have a couple shots of Alan actually upside down in a cave that I'm able to get like right up close in detail of him ice climbing, essentially upside down, with crampons on and ice axes. So, and being able to light up these caves, I mean, the ice is seriously so clear. It's unbelievable. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's to show, you know, obviously climbing these huge, beautiful ice faces, but also, you know, the complexity of, you know, being able to climb essentially inverted. So,
It's freaking rad.
yeah.
This is insane. I'm kind of bummed that we haven't seen it yet.
I know.
I should stop hyping it up so much. It was shot on GoPro. So
and a Spark drone.
GoPro and a DJI Spark.
DJI Spark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got the drone up for just a little bit, and it was like, I'm cold. It's time to bring it home, because it was so cold every night, like,
Dude.
full on, just try to stay as bundled up as possible and keep moving.
Yeah.
So, but
And
yeah.
what time of year was it?
This was shot this past winter.
Yeah,
So,
but deep in the winter.
yeah, it was, I believe it was January when we shot.
So you weren't getting any sunlight
No,
at all?
no, we were getting
like a little bit.
Yeah, we were getting sunlight throughout the day. But yeah, for the most part, like, we were getting a decent amount of sunlight. But yeah, for the most part, it was dark for a majority of it.
Yeah.
So it was just funny, like, hopping off the plane, having a terrible sleeping schedule for a week, and then getting back, you're just like totally drained from carrying.
Yeah.
I think both Jordan and I's packs were probably 80 to 90 pounds.
Gosh.
And
Yeah.
just hiking
my
around
gosh.
with snow clothes on. And
Did you say that was the time where you
yeah. So going out, Alan found this beautiful piece of ice that kind of had a crack through the middle of it, and he could climb perfectly up it. And it was again butted back up against the mountain and the glacier, and we were coming back down, and I just think, you know, I was tired and just getting lazy with my where I was putting my feet. And thankfully, before I stepped, I was like, okay, this is obviously like a precarious spot. Where am I gonna slide? You know, if I'm gonna slide. And then as soon as I stepped, I slid, and yeah, my legs, like, pretty much up to here, was hanging down into a crevasse, and my backpack and me got wedged before it. So Alan and then his buddy, is a younger guy. I don't remember his name, but he was helping us all with camera gear. He like came down and helped me out. But they're actually saying, thankfully I didn't have crampons on, because I probably would have broke my leg trying to stop myself with the crampons. So yeah, pretty
squirming.
Pretty sketchy to
I'm
say the
squirming
least.
right now.
So
Oh, tell me about that though. Like, I want to know emotionally what was going on.
I thought that was it, and Jordan did too. Like, all he saw was my headlamp just like going down the side of this mountain, like into the glacier. So yeah, it was gnarly to say the least. So once I, like, oh man, I can't even tell you, like, the terror that, like, my heart just like sank as soon. I mean, when you got that heavy of a pack on, you've been hiking out like probably across the lake bed, and I don't want to over exaggerate, but it's probably 3 miles to the glacier, and you got heavy gear. It's just heavy and you're cold. And it's just like you're tired, and yeah, it was just like my heart just sank. I'm like, oh no, this is it. But got wedged and was able to get back out and make it back to the lake bed, load up the sleds, and head back to the car. So,
oh my gosh, I'm sure you're having some PTSD right now.
Just a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm squirming. That's extreme. Oh my gosh.
Totally. But I mean, the fact is, you went off a cliff on a snow bike into the trees, and
less than ideal for sure.
Yeah, and it could have been so much worse.
Could have been.
And I'm not trying to minimize or
for sure
or anyone's story here. I'm thinking of it from Jordan's perspective. Watching. Yeah. Like
totally.
I didn't see Sam go off, but I saw snow coming off of trees.
Mm-hmm. And
then as I looked up the road as we were taking a left turn, I saw that it was only my brother and Sam was gone. And Spencer takes off his helmet. He's running towards me. He's like, effing run. Sam went off the effing ledge. My heart stopped. I mean, both of us thought we were going, our thought was like, he probably didn't make it. Like that's where and you're just praying that you're, one of your closest friends and your brother-in-law and business partner is alive.
Totally. And kind of going back to the original question is like of why we love being outside. I think there's a lot of trust, whether you're going out snow biking, whether you're ice climbing, whether you're mountain biking, whatever it may be, is you kind of usually have a partner. You kind of got to trust, like, hey, like I might get hurt, I might do whatever. There's a lot of burden on the other person of like, maybe what if I did go down that crevasse? Like he's got the job of, having to, tell my family and all that kind of stuff. So it can be kind of heavy.
It does get heavy. I know the ER doctor was, he was really impressed with your guys's splint. The entire time they're tearing my snow pants open, he's like, oh, look at this, the sticks. You guys had a saw with you? Look at this paracord job. No, oh my gosh. He's pulling this apart, like asking me questions, and I'm high on morphine. Like, I don't know. I don't know what they did. I don't know. But I remember him just, wow, you were with the right people. Holy cow, man.
And then he pulled me aside and he looked me in the eyes and he said, great work on the splint. Like, very impressed. All of us are. And he said, he's lucky it's just his leg. I mean, you're lucky you didn't hit your chest. I mean, a broken tree was sitting right next to your chest that could have impaled you. I mean, you blew through a tree stand that had metal unistrut sticking out everywhere that could have impaled you. Your helmet fell off. You were wearing a backpack with the FS7 in it that could have broken your back. I mean, all sorts of things could have gone way worse. This is the first time we're talking about this.
True.
With our filmmaker community.
Yeah. We'll come back to that one. I want to get a little more of my coffee. Do you want something to drink?
I'm actually, do you have any, a LaCroix? I will take one. Yeah. Yes, please.
A hint of lime.
Yeah, it's a ton of fun. I need to figure out a way that more of my projects are that way. So it seems, just finding that balance is kind of tough sometimes between like chasing a paycheck and chasing what you want to do. So
have you seen Into the Mind?
Yes.
That is
Sherpa Cinema. Those guys kill it.
Yeah, baller.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I've watched that probably 372,000 times. That's like
372,000 times.
That's probably
a weirdly specific number
of my views on the YouTubes.
Oh my gosh.
No, Into the Mind, like again, like Sherpa Cinema, those guys are insane. Just like, it's really cool. Sorry, I'm gonna go on a tangent here.
No.
It's really cool to see, like, and you guys know it's difficult filming, whether it's in the backcountry or outside. Like there's already, you got so many things working against you. You don't have like a set, or anything like that. And to be able to have that kind of whether it's camera movement or whatever it may be is just like incredible. It's seriously so cool.
For sure. Another film I thought of when you were talking about your brighter nights was Maru.
Yeah,
that's a intense one.
Yeah, Jimmy Chin.
Where were we? We were really talking about some heavy stuff.
We were diving into the heavy stuff,
the emotional side of these outdoor activities, and
I was kind of interested so do you consider yourself a cinematographer? Is that what you like doing?
Yeah, I'd say cinematographer / filmmaker for sure.
Yeah.
I love kind of all the ins and outs of it. A lot of my work is actually outside of the action sports world as well. So being that I'm kind of a one-man production company, I kind of have to, know enough to be dangerous in all things. So, but I love collaboration with filmmaking as well. So
for sure.
But yeah, I definitely think like dream gig would be being a DP and shooting outdoor films and documentaries would be
right on
the ticket.
Yeah, with that, you're the filmmaker side. I think all of us, whether we're independent or in mine and Sam's case, working together, you have to know how to do all of it.
Yeah.
And I edit because I have to.
Totally.
And and when I don't have to, it's pretty nice when you can just focus on the directorial side, and then also coming in from as a director with another editor and say like, this is how I want the story to flow, or this is what I'm envisioning. And anyways, I was going to ask, in terms of Brighter Night, you said in StrongWater that you were not responsible for editing, that it was Jordan.
Yeah, Jordan, and he did the edit for Brighter Night as well.
Cool. I'm so excited to see it.
Yeah. It's definitely different.
Maybe we'll have to have a viewing party.
We should.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be pretty
awesome.
cool. Maybe we can either figure out a location, but it'd be cool that we could just invite as many people as you want or we want. That would be really cool.
I think it would be rad to do like some sort of local shorts, like just like our own baby film festival, and it really no topic, whether it's an adventure film, whatever it may be. I think that'd be great. That way I feel like there's a lot of, smaller filmmakers like myself, that we don't even know about. That would be really cool to, see their work
for sure.
Well.
Yeah, it'd be fascinating to see the different styles, the different stories people are either drawn to or hired out for. I mean, our shorts have all consisted mostly of nonprofit work.
Totally.
And I think it's because we're drawn to those stories. Like,
totally.
They're really cool.
Absolutely.
And interesting for us. So
that's a great idea.
But that'd be really cool.
We're gonna go to Patagonia.
We are
in February.
Did we tell you that?
Dude, am I a part of this camera gear list?
Perhaps.
We'll shove you into one of the
I'm
cases.
definitely a fly fisherman. I spend more time tying my flies than actually catching fish. But
same here. I am on the same page.
Yeah. At the end of the day, you look around, you're like, oh, okay, I'm in a pretty cool spot. So that's okay if I don't catch anything.
I think most definitely probably going to have to get an FS5 before we go.
We definitely are. We'll take the FS7 and FS5 and the little Mavic.
You're thinking 2 cameras.
I'm thinking we have 2 cameras.
Speaking of Mavics, the Mavic 2
with the Hasselblad or with the zoom lens.
The Hasselblad.
You have one of those,
dude.
You got it, didn't you?
Is it really?
It's so good. It's so good.
I like when people.
Sorry, Inspires. We're coming for you.
So you do drones?
Yeah,
you do drones.
Do you do drones? I do drones now. Yeah, no, they're awesome. Like, I love like how compact like how can you not win with the Mavic? Like it's not a 30-minute setup time. It's awesome.
So I know Max Yuriev. He's a YouTube tech reviewer here in Spokane. He's got a following on YouTube. He reviewed it and decided it wasn't worth upgrading from the Mavic Pro, which we have. So I kind of just listened to that one, but he got really, really, really technical with it.
Yeah, I think the thing that I really noticed, especially shooting a lot of outdoor and like lifestyle stuff, is like it's better at detail. Like rather than like the other Mavic Pro, like if it saw a tree, like the branch would just be like pixel.
Totally.
Thing. Instead of like, like my first test was like, I'm going to go find a ridge line of trees and go down the ridge line with the drone. And sure enough, it's like you can actually pick out the detail on the branches.
That's funny. A ridge line of trees. That's a lot of times my pet peeve with these little drones. They're awesome and portable and they get a decent picture. But when you get a ridge line of trees, it's just you can see the pixels.
It's just, so I don't know, like with my experience over my regular Pro, I was like blown away. So and then also being able to shoot 120 frames is pretty rad too. So
yeah, that's
sweet.
Badass.
So I love it. Okay, I just got a little excited about it. We had a project recently, the transitions film.
Yeah.
We do some stuff for a construction company here in town, and a lot of times we end up mixing, because we chronicle the project from beginning to end. So it's usually like 2 years of footage that we collect. And then after it's done, we'll go and make a film. And most of the time we try to have somebody with an Inspire fly and get before it starts, in the middle, and then at the end. But sometimes we just take our Mavic and make it happen. And I found there are 2 different projects we've done for this company that the Mavic footage that we just got while we were there, we just threw it up in the air. That's the stuff that ends up making the cut, and you can't even tell. And another producer that we've done work with in the past, they didn't even know.
Yeah.
They've always asked, like, so who did you have shoot all that stuff? That was just our little Mavic.
Yeah. And I think like that's the kind of thing with like guerrilla of like filmmaking, like being fast and getting the shot while you can. An Inspire takes a long time to set up.
It does.
And get everything. And dual operator. Okay, is your remote working? Okay, yeah, mine is too. Just being able to like get that shot and get it now.
Yeah,
I think there's a ton of value in that. So I think that's something that I love about the Mavic, for sure.
We did have though. We recently started working with James Nesbitt.
Yeah, he's awesome.
He's a drone operator in town, and he's got the Inspire 1, the X5, and he shoots RAW. And there are a couple different shots on a project we did recently that I thought, okay, there we go. That's why we wanted the Inspire.
Totally.
That's why we wanted something bigger than our little Mavic.
Absolutely. The just the depth and the colors and everything that you can grade those raw D&Gs and post is just nuts.
Totally. And we've also needed licensed drone pilots in many of those areas.
Yeah.
Where we're not going to go and be illegal. But another thing where the Inspire comes in handy is on those windy days.
Oh my gosh, that's where I was going to go. Yeah.
We've had days where we're out there with, the couple of drone pilots that we have.
I think it was the wind. It was like 25 mile an hour winds.
It's nuts. I mean, the
DJI app
was like this.
Ooh. It's on its side,
and the camera is like hanging.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just.
And the
tilted.
App is telling you, the DJI app is telling you the winds are too high velocity, land as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And our drone pilot was
flying over a stadium.
Yeah.
And you're right. That's a good point that we have to, a lot of times we do have to use a licensed drone operator because we were right next to Feltz Field,
airport, Part 107.
Yeah. And he's able to call up the tower and say, hey, can I get a 15-minute window? And there we go.
Do your thing and good to go.
But it was definitely crazy to see the drone like on its side, but the camera view is still
Totally.
stable.
Yeah.
Flat.
Speaking of, actually, the Mavic does pretty dang good in high winds. My buddy, do
Does
you guys
it?
know Nathan Slaybaugh? I'm not
Yeah.
sure how to say his last
Yeah.
name. Anyways, he just got done.
He was on the. That's a different story.
Okay.
Different story.
Anyways, big bearded guy. He's awesome. I've used him a couple
Yeah.
times on shoots, but he actually just got back from a shoot in Hawaii. And he shot some stuff with his Mavic 2 off the coast.
Yeah.
And he said it was literally like 40-mile-an-hour winds, and it did awesome.
Okay.
So
It's really cool.
yeah.
I love it.
So
That'll.
So, how do you say his name?
Nathan Slaybaugh, I believe. Don't
I
quote
say
me on
Nathan
that. Yeah.
He does coffee films
Yeah.
and something for Indian motorcycles.
Yeah, he does. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Call of
the road.
Call of
Yep.
the road. Yeah.
Yep.
He has his own podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does great work.
And he's here in town. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Get him on here sometime.
Yeah,
Oh, we
absolutely.
will. He's
Yeah,
on the list
for
dude.
sure. Yeah. That'd be really cool.
Hopefully, he just heard us say that
Hopefully.
Through the cloud.
Yeah.
through the cloud.
I have not met him, but I was on an airplane.
You were going to San Diego.
And I get a text, not a text, an Instagram message. I took a stupid I did an Instagram story or whatever of like, the classic, on the airplane. And I get a message from him saying like, "Hey, we're on the same flight."
Yes.
And then we never like
You
connected after
screenshot. You screenshot and sent it to me. You're like, "Do you know this guy?"
Yeah, that's
Oh, yeah.
funny.
Yeah, so that's pretty funny. So just small world.
Yeah.
But I started following him right away. And
Yeah.
and I realized that this guy does cool work.
Yeah.
It's like this. Spokane, Washington is packed with really interesting and
Totally.
great artists,
Totally.
filmmakers, and photographers, and it's pretty cool.
It is. I mean, I think that's one of the drivers for starting this podcast between you and I. I mean, obviously was growing in the craft of having these kind of conversations and just heading the direction we're going. But
Yeah.
I think if I have any secondary, maybe even primary goal is to bring recognition, I guess, to the community of filmmakers and creatives and that we have in this community, because it's freaking rad. And also, I've said it before. I don't think I've said it. Maybe I haven't said it on the podcast, but where we live, you could in camera make it look like anywhere you want it to.
We could.
We're less than an hour from an area where you could make it look like the rainforest or New Zealand. We're less than an hour away from desert, less than an hour away from giant maybe a couple hours, mountains. I mean, you got a downtown scene that we could tease anybody into thinking it was downtown anywhere.
Totally.
And, tease that by getting some aerials of
Totally.
whatever city you're trying to say it is. And then you're limited season wise on when you're going to shoot some things, but for the most part, I think this area is just loaded with
absolutely
opportunity, I guess, for filmmakers.
Going back to the whole creatives in Spokane, like, how do we hang out with all of them?
We've had this discussion a number of times, and I think that's part of the reason. Another extension of that reason for wanting to bring people on the podcast is there is no welcoming area, I guess, yet. And I think I hope that this evolves into something where it's we're not trying to compete with anyone. We've got our clients, and when we find out someone chose another film company or filmmaker potentially over us, and we find out who it is, more often than not it's like, great, you're in good hands. That just comes stylistically. We lost out on a client that a potential client I was pretty excited about. Would have been a really cool story. I won't dive into details, but and it was over the fact that they were excited that this other film company could tell a story without sound. And, you know, at the end of the day, if you look at our site, you're not going to find stories told without sound, because sound is one of the most important things for us. So they never asked us, could you tell a story without sound? At the end of the day, I think, you know, if they like this other person's style because of that and they chose them, I know who they chose, and I think they're in good hands with that. With that crew, and I'm stoked for them. And it'd be interesting to watch and compare, like, what would I have done differently. So but I think that's a good question.
Yeah. And like kind of going back to that, I think that's kind of the beauty about like this community is like kind of like what you said, like nobody, at least in my opinion, like I don't feel like anybody's turfy about like their clients, you know. I think everybody is really excited for, you know, somebody, you know, if they, you know, get the job, whether it's over you or whatever. Like you said, like style is everything, and if, you know, you gotta kind of stick true to your style and try and not alter that too much, in my opinion.
I think that the not being turfy thing is pretty new though, because Spokane has so many ad agencies that can be pretty turfy. Our idea of having a podcast, one of my favorite things about this is that we can have friends in here and talk about the cool things that you're working on and bounce ideas off. Like last week we had Kevin on, and Kevin, I think when we were done, immediately when the camera turned off and we were done recording, he got up and he said, guys, it's good to know that other people have the same problems. I am so excited to go work right now.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, again, I'll go back to I am because we are. It's a good statement. All of the boats rise when the tide goes up.
Totally. Yeah. And that's the thing, is that there is the pie is bigger than we even know it is, in terms of like how much like availability in this market there is for more films, and tapping into that. And, you know, we have filmmakers here that I would say the majority of their work isn't in the community, isn't in Spokane, and that's freaking rad too.
You know, for me personally, like I'm a self-taught filmmaker. I didn't go to school. Like I dropped out of school, invested in equipment, and just started shaking hands with people. Like, you know, I was like, hey, this is what I'm passionate about. I love story. I love, you know, creating beautiful visuals, and I want to learn. So I think that's like a huge thing with collaboration. That is huge, is, you know, I feel like Jordan, for me, he was a huge guy for me to look up to, because he shot a lot of really cool films and he's taught me a lot about production, you know, especially for me coming from a background of like, you know, going into the woods with my buddies and shooting a, you know, short mountain bike film for Pink Bike, and, you know, being able to get that exposure from him. I feel like every filmmaker, you know, you have a style. I would love to learn, you know, how you guys put together, you know, your films, and you know, everybody's got a style, and I think it'd be really cool to be able to, you know, again, just collaborate and like, oh, how'd you shoot that, or how'd you light that, or, you know, how did you sound design that, whatever it may be. I think it just elevates, you know, everybody in the community, which is really cool.
Right on.
For sure. That is rad. You've spoken a bit on a couple of the different camera systems you use, between the C200, your Red, you know, what's I can't say what's your preference. Obviously you have your Red and it's your baby.
I also see a lot of like A7.
Yeah. I just picked up an A7 III, and it's great. Like honestly, like it for you know whether it's lower budget, you know, clients or whatever it may be. I mean, that camera is amazing. It's got, you know, great depth of field, great color. And it's, you know, with me being a one-man band for the most part, you know, a Red is not the, you know, if a client doesn't have a ton of time, the Red takes a while to get set up, you know, to get shots. Like the A7's like, boom, you know, it's on a camera, and 5 minutes later it's on a gimbal, you know, getting run and gun shots. So, so basically I started filmmaking with, my mom actually got a 5D Mark III, and I just started kind of playing around with it, using it. And then through my other jobs, I saved up enough money to get a glide cam and a decent fluid head tripod. And yeah, just kind of went from there, and then invested in a Sony FS700, which I still have. Great camera. And then from there, decided to take the full leap, and went with the Red. So both, I think it's really cool. People can get so caught out, like, oh my goodness, you have a Red, like that's amazing. But at the end of the day, like, the Red is good for certain things, and the Red's not good at certain things, low light being one of them. Like the A7 is amazing for low light and that sort of thing. So
you just got to get a Gemini.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. You're on the A7 III for, sounds like, a good portion of your projects,
Totally. Mm-hmm.
But also the Red. Are you noticing a difference in, I'm not familiar with the image the A7 III produces, but I'm assuming it's similar to the A7S too and some of the others.
Mm-hmm.
Are you,
I imagine.
is it, the Red brings out a really sharp image.
Mm-hmm. Sorry.
I was just going to say.
Yeah. I'd say the Sony honestly kind of brings out more of a digital image, and I'd say the Red, I don't know if that's a great description, but I'd say the Red, just like skin tones and like everything is sharp but creamy at the same time, if that makes any sense. Just very like coming straight out of a camera, just very just cinematic looking. I don't really know how else to explain it, but and just the dynamic range of the Red is just insane. So that's especially shooting for outdoor films and that sort of thing, trying to set a scene with the outdoors. Like, if you can have that depth, whether it's in the trees or waterfall or whatever it may be, having that dynamic range is huge. So the other reason why I kind of went with the Red over other platforms is I really felt with where I want to go right now and in the future, the Red is a super modular setup, like as far as how big I want to build it out, like literally a single side handle, 7-inch monitor, and running Canon L series glass with a brick off the back, and I can get run and gun footage with that. And Red just released their latest firmware update that allows you to record audio at 60 frames a second, which is rad.
Very cool.
Super neat.
What kind of audio inputs do you have on the Red? I've never really paid attention.
For the most part, for the Red, I've just used a shotgun input off the back. So just a simple Rode mic. A lot of it is usually just used for scratch audio for the Red.
Yeah, and then you record audio separately
with like a Zoom or whatever it may be. So yeah.
Yeah. Are the fans pretty loud on the Red?
No, because for the most part, I mean, it depends on like how hot it is, but for the most part, when you press record, the fans actually shut off, and then it'll record. I mean, if you're shooting a long interview, they'll kick on.
Yeah.
But sometimes they'll shut off, and but yeah, for the most part, the fans are nice and quiet. So most of the stuff that I shoot, whether it's motorsports or whatever it may be, the trucks or whatever it may be are loud enough that you're not going to pick up a small fan. So
totally.
You hinted at where you want to be or where you're heading. What does that look like for you? What kinds of projects ideally would you like to be working on all the time? Or do you want to be just DP cinematographer on those types of projects, or do you like the editing side and potentially even directing side or whatever?
Totally.
Where 5-10 years, where's Cam Hotchkiss looking to go?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely could say, like, with me being a one-man band, I'd like to be a part of a team. That's for sure. I think there's only, with time, there's only so much value you can, provide being a one-man band. But ideally, yeah, I don't think it's specific. Like, I love the outdoors and I love, how inspiring outdoor films can be, but I really think anything that has a good story, I'd love to be a part of. So that's kind of something that I've really tried to fall in love with lately is, how a story is, presented, and that's, filmmaking. So I don't know. I think being a camera operator And I love being, editing as well. I think it's kind of the magic when it all comes together and all these shots that you've thought of in your shot list come together. I think that's probably one of, the best feelings, ever when you present an idea to a client and it comes through. I mean, what's a better feeling when you get that text back saying we love it, So
there's no better feeling than that right there.
Totally.
Because every time, and you guys know this, anytime you put something out there, you're kind of like, people can criticize it. They can do anything. You're kind of putting your baby out there all the time, and hopefully it's loved.
Yeah.
We talked about that last week with Kevin, that anytime you put anything out there for people to see, review, even if it's just one person or it's on the internet for anybody to see, there's some sort of risk involved, that you're risking there's a risk that people aren't going to like it.
Totally.
And they're going to tell you that it sucks or whatever.
Totally.
And, yeah.
So yeah, as far as like going to that question, like I've had this, honestly, even recently, this internal battle of like, do I want to, grow, me and my business into this production company, or do I want to focus and be, hired as a camera operator, or an editor or whatever it may be. So, at this point, I don't know where I'm going to go, but, just keep creating and keep putting stuff out there and go from there.
You live just right over there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like not far away from the studio. You should stop in more.
Yeah, absolutely. No, for sure.
Because I don't know. This has been a fascinating conversation, and I since you don't have a team right now,
can I be a part of your team?
We've brought you in on stuff, and that's actually how we.
Hey, I'm a wheelman.
That's actually how we started this conversation of you coming in on the podcast. Is we did not even mention the fact that you had a baby.
Congrats, buddy.
Yes, congratulations.
I figured we'd get into like a section of hey, what's new in your life?
So we're like more than an hour in, and I think we have not mentioned the fact Sam had a baby. Her name is Elliot Joy, and she is beautiful, and I'm in love because I'm her uncle.
Yes. And
it's just amazing. Congratulations, Sam.
High five. Booyah.
I am excited. To be completely honest, I am trailing right now. I can't
exhausted.
Comprehend what we're talking about. Actually, the podcast we posted last week with Kevin, we filmed that right before because we knew we were going to be going into the hospital. But
yeah,
I'm so excited. This is our second kid. We have a 2.5-year-old boy, little Harrison, and he loves his little sister. I think I am very thankful and surprised that he's so excited about this. He's been throwing a lot of tantrums the last week, and he will usually instantly calm down and say, like in a crying voice, I just want to sit with Elliot. He just wants to sit and hold her and calm down. And this is all we're just doing it again. Sleepless nights.
Yeah.
Loving this new little baby face. I think the second kid it adds a level of chaos, but at the same time, she's a little infant. She's chill. Our toddler is crazy, and we're realizing, oh, yeah, we can handle an infant. Okay, this is okay.
Yeah.
That is. I'm still laughing that we didn't mention it.
We didn't mention it. Hey, I came in to record a podcast, edit one little quick thing, and then I am shooting right back off home.
Yeah,
to be a part of this little family.
For sure. And speaking of recording a podcast, hopefully people can tell the audio quality is better because we did upgrade and get a 4-channel interface and a third Shure SM7B that Cameron's able to speak into.
You surprised us with
Kevin,
this morning.
I'm sorry if you're listening to this. Your audio was not as great because we were we were just
we
pulling
could get in.
strings.
Hey, we could get into the technical of what we did with Kevin's audio last week. It was we have a 2-channel USB interface. We've talked about this before. We have these two SM7Bs. I had to look at it because I don't remember. You love these microphones, and I love that you love them. What is it called? I should know this. What's it called when the audio that we recorded into the computer in Adobe Audition and the audio that we recorded from that random microphone we had lying around the studio into the camera, it didn't line up correctly. So after like 5 minutes, it started to lag a little bit. What's that called?
I forget.
You get audio from different sources.
A different audio
Yeah.
format. They were two different formats.
Yeah.
And it's just not happy.
Yeah.
Not happy. But I walked in this morning and I was like makeshifting something again. And like you were about to walk in the door and Mitch comes walking in with a handful of stuff from Guitar Center. And it's like, here we go.
New gear day.
I'll circle back to what started this conversation of having you on the podcast next was a day or two ago. I texted you and said, "Hey, are you in town this month? Because I know that I'm gonna need to go film, and some of these projects that I'm gonna need to film on, I'd like to have at least a second hand, and if I don't have to run camera, that'd be sweet." So texted you, and you're like, "Yeah, I'm gone these days, but the rest I'm here." And then Sam and I were talking about, we need to record a podcast this week. And I was like, let's just ask Hooch.
Yeah.
So,
man.
Hooch. Yeah. And so we, that's what, the whole team part of bringing you on for, some random stuff.
Yeah.
It's that's what's neat. Another thing that's neat about this community is like, if we can bring other people in and
totally
and work on projects, collaborate like you were talking about, that's neat for us.
No, absolutely.
Dude, we went so far into the emotional aspects of film and outdoors. I am so happy with this. We talked about what's new in my life. What's new in your life?
Oh, man. Not a whole lot, man. Just working on projects, working on another film with Jordan.
Yeah.
We're actually shooting the outdoor segment of that this Saturday. So
is it a super secret project?
It's super secret. It's for the CIA. No big deal. But yeah, honestly, not a whole lot. Just working on a lot of projects that pay the bills. Nothing too crazy. Some product videos for some companies, and do a lot of projects for Power Products Unlimited in Spokane. So doing some like vehicle overviews and that sort of thing for them. But yeah, not a whole lot, man.
One of the most recent videos you put out for them, I think it was them. You had like, was it a truck or a Jeep driving along this like ridge?
The truck.
Dude, you mixed drone footage with I don't even. Did you shoot that stuff on the red outdoor?
Yep.
You sent that. Did you send that to me, or did I see that on your Instagram? And
I sent it to you. Yeah,
dude, I was pulled in.
Yes, that's awesome.
Gosh, that was so cool.
Yeah, so
go find it.
Yeah, they're a fun
Cam
group of
Hooch
guys
on Instagram.
The Hooch.
Go find this thing and tell me that you found it.
Yes,
we'll tag all of your taggable social
tags
in the description of the podcast. What so filmmaker, director, who's at the top of your list, and what film recently that you've seen?
Probably when I was in Telluride for the showing of Brighter Night, I went and saw The Mountain, and that's shot by Renan Ozturk, and it's amazing. It's just a compilation of what the mountains kind of mean, I don't quite remember the context, whether it was what they meant to him or what they mean to climbers and outdoor enthusiasts, but it's just a beautiful outdoor film. I was really pulled in by it, very inspired by the music and everything.
That's
everything
awesome.
with it.
Right on.
Is it out yet?
I don't know actually. It might be.
Okay.
It might be.
Cool.
Okay.
So for assuming, let's just assume that maybe it's not out yet. It's still on the tour.
Mm-hmm.
What, for anyone listening, anyone who doesn't follow the outdoor films, like not what film. What
Film.
No. What outdoor film I would actually say.
Okay.
Would you say people got to see?
Got to see. From like what perspective? Like from like a learning, like, because sometimes I watch films obviously for the style of it. What's the film that's on Netflix? Wild Wild Country.
Wild Country.
Have you guys watched that?
Is that documentary with the the cult leader?
Yeah, the cult.
No, I still haven't seen it.
Okay, just from like a cinematography standpoint, it's actually Jordan again, this producer / mentor for me. He's like, dude, you gotta watch it. The interviews in this are absolutely beautiful, like how they're done. So if you're looking for some creative inspiration, definitely go check out Wild Wild Country on Netflix.
Yeah.
Adding it to my list
interviews
right now.
and just the sequencing of everything is just incredible.
My father-in-law recommended that one.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. Like it's insane.
Right
like,
on. Okay.
how it happened.
I'm watching second season of Making a Murderer.
We started it too, just because you tweeted about it.
I'm not a fan of creating like social conviction on someone because we don't have all the evidence, I'm also probably more on like a defense attorney side though, like naturally in my head. But so first season though, everyone's like they're innocent, whatever, and I'm not buying it because I was very aware that there's all this information from the prosecuting side that didn't make it. Well, they released quite a bit of that to kind of show the cards of what was left in the first episode of this season, and then the more they're diving in this season, the second season, I'm like, there's no way these guys did it. I'm convinced. I'm a believer. I am a free Avery, free Dassey believer.
Yes.
I've not looked at the Googles or the Yahoos or the Bings to see if these people have even been released or are innocent or not guilty. But because I want to be surprised.
Yes.
And so here I am, season 2.
I'm over here just watching Harry Potter still.
You're falling asleep. We should probably shut this down.
Shut this down. I gotta go take a friggin' nap.
Okay, that's all right. The Cinetherapy podcast is produced by Inland Film Co. Special thanks to this week's guest, Cameron Hotchkiss. And that's a wrap.